So how's everyone doing? Good? All right. I'd like to see those thumbs up. So today we're going to discuss about another artist from his name is Joan Miro. Okay. So let me share my screen with you. And today we're going to also do a little painting. How exciting is that, right? So let's see, where is everybody here? I can only see Abigail. Okay. How do I get this into, how do I get this into to the side, Shireen? Oh, there you go. I can see everybody. Perfect. So I don't know how his name is pronounced. Is it Joanne or Joan Miro? But I know he is Miro. He's a surrealist artist. Okay. Let's look at the genius of Joan Miro. He was a surrealist painter. Surrealism is what? It was a movement for painters and literary people, and they try to incorporate the subconscious or your dreams into the real scene that you have, into realism. Okay, so they painted their dreams. So that's why it's called surrealism. And Joan Miro belongs to that group of people. He, again, was multiple things. He was not just a painter, he was also a sculptor and a muralist. What is a muralist? Any idea? What's a mural? Mural is a large painting, right? So like if you paint a mural, say outside somewhere, those kinds of painters are called muralists. Okay? He was born on the 20th of April in 1893. Okay, in Barcelona, Catalonia, Spain. He spent time in Paris, Barcelona, in the United States. He died in Mallorca, Spain on the 25th of December at the age of 90. So if you want to live long, paint, okay? Be creative. Always be involved in something. Not necessarily, I don't expect everybody to become an artist. I'm not an artist, but I paint, okay? So then, by definition, because I paint, I'm an artist. So continue doing something creative other than your work, other than studying, other than just your regular job. Develop a hobby. Maybe it is singing for some people, maybe it is playing the violin or the guitar or the drums. But cultivate a hobby that is different, and that'll help you age well. Okay, so let's look at his painting education. His parents were like regular parents. His parents thought that art was not very, very fruitful, but guess what? He made a ton of money being an artist. Okay. So his parents wanted him to go to a business school, which he did because he was a kid. And he said, okay, mom, dad, I'll go to business school. And he got a business degree. But then he loved painting so much that he went back to art school. He went to Madrid and he studied at the Royal Academy of Arts, and he just loved the Prado Museum. Do you remember who else spent time at the Prado Museum? Anyone? Abigail, do you remember that from last time that I taught you? Picasso. Remember Picasso? He used to spend a lot of time in the Prado Museum. So it's very good to go to a museum. You could possibly go to your local museum here, the Dayton Art Institute. And you could study works of art. We do have some really famous works of art here. And then he would try to study by copying paintings at the museum. Okay. He was very influenced by Van Gogh and Cezanne. He just loved it. And he loved art so much, he started painting and drawing at the age of 7. Okay. And his instructor by the name of Francesco Galli recognized his talent, introduced him to Paris and, the modern art movement. and so forth. And let's look at it. He was, his first solo show was held in 1918. So he was born in 1893, and his first solo show was in 1918. Okay, let's look at some of his paintings, really famous paintings. So this is a large painting, and the story about it's called The Farm. Okay, the reason why it's called The Farm is because it was the farm that he grew up in. You know, he started it when he was with his parents, and then he completed it when he went back to art school. Okay, it took several years for him to complete it. And so you will find like a Catalan landscape. You know, there's his house, the steps, some trees, the moon over here, I think, or the sun. And he painted this thing called the farm. Okay, it was a rather large painting. The story about this painting is that Ernest Hemingway, a very huge literary figure from the Americas, loved this painting and he bought it. He bought this painting for his wife. Okay, and it was so huge. It was a 48 by 56 oil painting, and he transported it uh, in a taxi. Imagine transporting a big painting in a taxi. So it was like a sail. It was just moving like that, you know, like really badly. So he had to tell the taxi driver to go slow. So everybody saw it was just a fantastic painting done by a famous artist. And they got the painting in one piece. But then eventually, I think his wife donated it to DC, I think. Yeah, his wife donated it. It was bought in Paris for 5,000 francs at that time. Okay, let's look at the other painting. Now, when you compare this painting, The Farm, to this painting, which was done in 1924, this was done just 2 years prior. What do you see? A huge difference, right? Well, it's called the Harlequin's Carnival. Do you see a Harlequin in here? Perhaps this one right here with the big mush. And this is his carnival. So it's a carnival, meaning it's like a festival going on. There's a cat there. There's some other type of animal there. This is the Eiffel Tower, apparently, over here. This is the globe, okay? So he incorporated all these images of real things, but in a very different sort of manner, you know? And he made this painting. So he put a ton of figures in it and made a painting that looked very abstract and surreal, okay? Here's another of his famous paintings. What did he do? He called it Blue 2. And he made a triptych, Blue 1, 2, and 3. It's this particular painting is in Paris, France. Okay, it's very simple. He washed and he put red and black, and that was his painting. Okay, so these are very typical of Miro's paintings. I want you to go and look him up online. I have just brought out only a few of his famous paintings, but there are many others that I really enjoy. And you will find that his paintings are, if you look at it, and all the painters that you've been studying, you'll notice that everyone came up with a different technique, a different style, and that's how they got famous. So if you want to become famous, you have to, develop your own style that nobody has thought about. No one has thought about. One thing that is curious in Miro's painting is that, see, like over here, it looks like a figure, like a woman, right? Then this looks like kind of a paper plane, but then everything is connected by lines. See, there's a dot there and a dot there, and it's called the blue star. I don't see a star in here, but this painting, guess how much it sold for? Anybody want to take a guess? Abigail? Joseph?
3 million.
3 million, okay. And any other guesses? Jesse, you want to take a guess?
5 million.
5 million, okay. Jesse, you go next.
I think it's between 7 million and 12 million.
7 and 12.
I'll go with 9 million.
9 million, okay. Well, I'll tell you, it sold for 23.4 million. I would be doing a happy dance myself. I just sold a painting, but it was definitely not 23.4 million. So you see, so sometimes if you come up with an idea and you own that idea, you can be a millionaire in no time sometimes. But you know, that was Miro for you. And this painting is called The Hunter. And The Hunter, this particular painting is in the MoMA in New York City. So what did he do for The Hunter? He took a stick figure. Here's a stick figure. He put the stick figure in with a triangular head, with a mush like that, and he's smoking a pipe. And the mush is here, but the pipe comes off this way, and it's still smoking. And, you know, he's put in a lot of things that don't really relate. There is an eye somewhere. There is, I mean, all kinds of different objects. This is sort of like a creature that I haven't seen. It's neither a spider nor an octopus. But then there's an eye over here, and there's a round thing. So what I'm trying to get at is here's a ladder going up, okay? It's very abstract, okay? But he has sort of utilized a landscape in this particular painting. So there is a distinction between the top and the bottom, but then he's put all these little figures, there's triangles, circles, stick figures, some creatures coming out, then everything is connected. See these lines? Somehow they are connected. He loves doing these little connections for some reason. And there's birds too. There's birds over there, there's sails, and so forth. And it's the hunter. The hunter is the stick figure. Okay? So that's a 1924 painting. Here is called this one is called the Escape Ladder. It was painted in 1939. And he did this because, what do you think of this painting? Compared to say Blue or Blue 1, Blue 2, or Blue Star, what do you see that's different in this painting?
The color scheme.
The color scheme, yes. It's more darker, right? It's more like dark. So basically, see, when a painter or an artist, remember, like they are trying to put their emotions into the painting. And sometimes subconsciously, that's what the surrealists were so good at. They would subconsciously bring in their feelings into what they drew, what they're painting. So here, the escape ladder was sort of symbolic because at the time, Spain was in a very difficult situation. You know, um, there is an old still life with old, you know, and it was a very, very difficult situation. So it was, you know, in terms of war and such. So there's a ladder just to escape the war. Again, lots of circles, a hat perhaps. There's a face with an eye. You can see this sort of, it's very Picasso-ish, very cubism type. There is another shape with, you know, radiating lines and triangles again. And then the background has some type of a color that unifies the whole thing. Okay. And here, the still life with old shoe. This is again dark colors, just like this, right? And this one was also done during the war. So here he's seeing that there's a fork that's stuck in. What is it stuck in? Let's see. There's a fork. Then there's a loaf of bread. Oh, apparently this is an apple. This figure right here is an apple. And there's a fork that's stuck in the apple. There's a loaf of bread that's half eaten. There's a bottle. I mean, who paints like this? I don't know, other than Miro. And then there's an old shoe. So this is a still life. We just discussed it in the previous lecture about like what is a still life. A still life is a group of objects that you put together and then you paint it. So it doesn't have to match exactly what you're seeing. You can paint your own imagination. Again, he's used dark colors to depict that, oh my gosh, it's wartime going on, and he's, his emotions are totally into this painting as well. Here's another painting. This was inspired by the unrest in France. So this looks like he took a little bit of paint and he just splashed it on the canvas. And then, some of it dripped down, some of it splashed out. And then he just put like a hat, and then again a lot of lines, but here there are more thicker lines, and somehow these lines are connected. See, they're just connected. This particular painting was inspired by the unrest in France. Now, what do you think? Do you think he first painted the background and then he did all this on top? What do you think?
It looks like it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, he should have like painted the background first, like with all the splatters and stuff, and then with the black paint, he just kind of, stroked his brush or something.
Exactly. That's what I think too. So that's what we'll do today. Okay, we'll do the background first, and let's see who all paints what, and then we will put in some of these kinds of figures, to make a Miro-ish painting. What do you think over here? Did you do the background first and then do all of this? Possibly, right? Over here again, perhaps the background was done first. You can see some of this paint is just sort of oozing into the blue, creating a purplish hue over here, right? So I think that's what we're going to try to do today. Look at this painting. I love Miro's paintings. This is the Metamorphosis of Narcissus. Is it? Perhaps not. This is the portrait of Nubiola. And this one is a painting of Joan Miro's, and it's called The Red Sun. Apparently very, very famous and rather large. Same thing, he's done the background, but here I believe, he's painted the background, but then he's done the black, I think. But I think the red sun, if he would paint over the background, may not be that red, right? Not that true color. So perhaps he painted these big figures first and then incorporated the background and then did the black, I think. What do you think? Perhaps? Yeah. So let's do a Joan Miro type of painting today. But before that, let's look at the quotes. He says, for me, an object is a living thing. And a simple line painted with a brush can lead to freedom and happiness. That's so nice. A simple line painted with a brush can lead to freedom and happiness. A form gives me an idea. This idea evokes another form. And everything culminates in figures, animals, and things I had no way of foreseeing in advance. He created these creatures in his paintings out of his head. He just, he drew a line, and then he did something else, and then he created this this animal from his imagination. And you could see that, from his paintings. When I stand in front of a canvas, I never know what I'm going to do. And nobody is more surprised than I at what comes out of it. That's a little bit like me. I sometimes, when I start to paint, I really have no idea or any clue of what I'm going to do. And then I paint it. And then it's a surprise. Sometimes, some of my abstract paintings. But then my realistic paintings, I have a particularly good idea of what I'm going to do. Okay. And another thing he says is, in a painting, you should be able to discover new things each time you look at it. So when you draw, okay, right now you're all drawing on small pieces of paper, which is wonderful. Spend time on your paper. Remember, I always told you that let the painting develop in layers, and very soon you'll get good at your technique, right? And the minute you start getting good at your technique, go and paint in larger canvases. By the way, Abigail and Joe, I think you both are old enough to go to the K-12 Tejas Gallery. Have you been there? It is in downtown Dayton. No? Okay, I'll send you some information about that. I think you should at least pay it a visit after things get a little bit, things get a little calmer from COVID. We can take a field trip, one to the Front Street Galleries, as well as Front Street Galleries and the Tejas Gallery, okay? So we'll do that. We'll do a field trip over there. And you'll get to meet real artists from Dayton, okay? And then he says, yes, it took me just a moment to draw this line with a brush, but it took me months, perhaps even years on reflection to form the idea. This is a very important statement, okay? And let's paint like Joe Nero. Okay, let's start it. You have your watercolor ready? Little bit of paint. Okay, what I'm going to paint right here. So let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to draw this, can you see my canvas over here? It's like a watercolor paper. So I'm going to paint this blue because that's one of my favorite colors. So for watercolor, I'm going to just take this and put water around it. Just water, just paint water. And I'm going to drop some colors in here. Can you see it? It's rather light, isn't it? And we can also put in some texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some white in there and put in some texture, okay? That's cobalt blue, okay? I'll try some cobalt blue. Are you okay with the schedule? 9 to 12:30, you break for lunch, then 1 to 8, okay, then you break for dinner. Or do you want to do dinner early? No, it's fine. 1 to 8 is fine. Okay. Then I want to take a break and work out and do it. And from 9 to 10:30. Okay. And then I want to do it, but I don't think you should. I want to do 11 to 12:30. You don't need to do that yet. Not that supposed to do it. I might, I might do like 9:30 to 12 and then 1 to 8 with you, and then I'll stay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah. That sounds fine. 1 to 8 is hard. We do it. We can do it. We can do it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So one of the things that you saw in one of his paintings was a little bit of texture. So I'm going to add some texture with a white color, okay? created some texture. Now I'm gonna throw in a little bit of red. Good. So I'm beginning to draw use some of the black to put in like, shapes and create crazy animals and join them all together, okay? No, actually, I am not. can you give me another plate, that foil, some kind of foil from there, please? Yeah, little bit. I don't need the whole lot. Thank you. Let's see, have you done something? Abigail, show us yours. Oh, that's a good background. I love that background. Very nice. Yeah. Good for you. So what I created like a shape, sort of like a squiggy shape, and I put some, little feelers on top. And then I'm trying to create like some birds, maybe a star over here. I don't know, something that goes like so. You know, so shapes like that. Okay. Let's look at some more of his shapes and see if we. Oh, he has a shape like a hat. Okay, so let's put in a hat. So maybe a hat is up here somewhere. A stick figure. Then he also put triangles and different shapes. So let's do that. Oh, you need to. do you think? Here's a close-up.
It's really good.
Yeah? I don't know. I mean, I just incorporated some of his shapes. Triangles,
Wow.
triangles, filled and unfilled, a straight line, kind of a squiggly line. Then I gave it some feelers, made it unknown creature. We have never seen anything like it. And there's something yellow in there, a star, sort of like a circle with tentacles coming out of it, dots in the sky that are black, and there's a heart. So Miro incorporated a lot of realistic things as well in his paintings. And then he just, I don't think he used too many colors, right? If you look at his paintings, you'll find that, there are just a few colors, and he just puts it out there, and that's his painting. So, yeah. What do you think? Maybe do you think I need to add more into this? Perhaps not. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about one of the ideas that I recently did. Okay, so I tried to do a painting for a computer science department. You know how computer science, they have certain symbols that they use, right? So I incorporated some of those symbols and they meant something, but in binary language, which means what's binary language? It is the use of just 1 and 0. And computer just recognizes only the binary languages. So it recognizes 1 and 0. And then you can actually take 1 and 0, put it in a sequence, and it actually means something. So you can go on the computer and type a statement and change it to binary language. So you know how he is connecting these lines like this? So my lines were made up of binary letters, 1 and 0. So instead of making a straight line like this, I put a 1 and 0. So it appeared like an implied line, but it was not really a line. It was binary numbers. So think about that. Okay, I thought that up for the computer science department at UD. I don't know if they'll take my painting, but that's what I did. Okay. All right. You all look cool. Busy, busy, busy. Very nice. So show me your work. Let's see your work. Oh, beautiful. Everybody's is gorgeous. Very nice use of colors. Blending is very good, Abigail, and yours too. Yeah, very nice. I love everybody's colors. Beautiful. Jesse, how about you? Show me yours.
I didn't draw right now. I was gonna draw later.
Later,
so,
okay. Think about it. This is kind of a fun painting, I thought, right? Yesterday, I dared not do a painting because how am I going to teach you how to draw your dream? I really don't know. But Miro, I can handle because Miro, we could just look at his paintings and say, okay. But Dali, I'm not so sure. But if we put in enough thought into it, and attempt to draw what comes in our minds, it could be possible. So you might, in your free time, do something. You don't have to copy Dali. Don't copy Dali. Don't copy Miro. Don't copy any of these artists. But look and study how these artists are painting and how each one has come up with something unique. So what I want you guys to do is think about, okay, how can I draw this painting and make it my own? So it'll be a Jesse Ampong painting or a Joseph Ampong painting or an Abigail Ampong painting. Okay, right. So you want to interpret, study from these works, fantastic works we're teaching. were learning, right? You've learned now at least 13 or 14, no, actually more than 15 artists. So you've learned each of their techniques, but now make it your own. And as we go, and I thank you all for joining me once a month. That's phenomenal. I'll send you a date for January. And then we'll see each other in January and create yet another painting. Okay, so now in December, in the last two classes, what you've learned about are surrealist painters. Surrealist painters actually painted where they were trying to fuse the subconscious thought with the conscious thought, realism with fantasy. And that's the surrealist movement. Okay. All righty. So finish up your paintings and then send me an email with your completed painting. Take a good picture of it. Okay. I'll work on some more and I'll send you mine too. All right. You guys take care. Thank you for joining me. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye. Bye.